Hello and welcome to Business Today. I am Siddharth Zarabi, and with me here at the Davos brainstorm is Prashant Ruia, the director of Essar Capital. Prashant, welcome. The sun's out, and the beginning of the conversation, I want to begin with what has happened in the United States. President Trump has taken office. Several early decisions that he has taken. He seems to be holding off on a full-fledged tariff war for now. But when it comes to climate-related aspects, there seems to be the beginning of a rollback. I wonder if you had sense to absorb what he's announced, and what kind of broader impact is it likely to have?
Well, for someone in the originally from the oil and gas business, first of all, thanks Siddharth for having me. For someone from the oil and gas business, drill baby drill sounds pretty good as a concept, because I think for too long, fossil fuel and oil and gas, people have had this impression that you can transition into green fuels much faster than actually what's happening on the ground. There is a lot of focus on electric vehicles and things like that, but still, I would still say there's a still long runway to go before the transition takes place. And people sort of in the last 10 years sort of lost sight of that and started saying no for any investments to do in the oil and gas business and similar businesses. I think that's a welcome correction from.
And do you see a significant turning of the cycle now with the new policies that the US is likely to adopt?
I don't think they're going to really turn their cycle. I mean, they are the world's one of the, if not the world's largest oil and gas producer after the shale oil revolution took place. And if you really think about the growth of America and the competitiveness of America, it really happened after they found shale gas and shale oil. They grew from being 4-5 million barrels a day to now 10-11 million barrels a day. And that just changed at a very low cost. So their energy costs are very low. It's still one of the cheapest places in the world to find gas or to buy gas. And so that really boosted their competitiveness and ability to manufacture locally. And now, I mean, it's going to be more of that. But I don't think it's going to really, if there is competitive industry where you can do energy transition at a competitive basis, I think that's going to grow as fast.
And I don't know how many people realize that even the AI revolution is based on cheap energy, and without cheap energy in the United States, the AI revolution would also have found it difficult because of the vast amounts of power that it guzzles. Before I come into the India point, just one more thing about the global sort of situation. I had the chairman of Indian Oil just a little while ago right here on the same seat, and he gave us a sense about the fact that he still believes that in the long run, at least half of the total energy output, and by consequence therefore consumption in India, will remain fossil fuel. 25% will be alternative, then within that various subcomponents. Is that something that you also share as an assessment in terms of how the mix will play out?
Well, it's tough to give a percentage, but I do know that fossil fuels, as I mentioned earlier, fossil fuels will still play a major role in our energy basket for many years to come. Now, over time, India has a very, very big benefit with solar power. The cost of delivering solar power in India is very low and cheaper than gas, cheaper than coal. We still have to solve the storage problem, and battery technology is coming. And I don't know exactly in how many few years, but in few years, you will be able to address the storage problem. And so there will be an inevitable shift towards electric. And because India can do solar, we import 85% of our fuel, of our crude and gas. And if you can replace that with solar, low-cost solar energy from India, I think it's a revolution, because first time in the history of India that we can generate our own energy without importing. Same kind of revolution which took place in the US when they found shale oil and shale gas. I think is possible with solar in India. So, but it's getting there. We're getting there. I mean, our Prime Minister's goal of 500 gigawatts by 2030. It's a very ambitious goal. And if you think about, put that in context of what's happening around the world, it's one of the largest, solar out programs anywhere in the world. And we're already up to more than 200 gigawatts of renewable power. But not only solar, all
the
renewable power.
mix.
So yeah, I mean, there's an inevitable shift, but fossil fuels, I think, will be there for a long time.
Essar has been building almost a 10 gigawatt power portfolio, which includes renewables as well. Give us a sort of update on where that stands, where's the rollout, and are you now looking at going beyond that target as well?
No, I think first of all, Essar has been involved in the power sector from a long time. So we were one of the first to enter the power sector. When we set up a first gas-based plant, in the late 80s, right? That was even before Enron came to India. So we've been in the power sector for a long time. Obviously, the earlier power investments were largely around coal and natural gas. Initially, natural gas, then coal. But now, in the way we are looking at it going forward, our goal is to build about 8 to 10 gigawatts in the next 4-5 years. It's not a very aggressive or ambitious plan because many people have much more aggressive plans than what we have. But our idea is to build a portfolio of round-the-clock renewable power, which is actually, in a way, to take up your earlier point, it's trying to bridge how we can use renewable power as a 24-hour solution, as opposed to just a intermittent solution for 10-12 hours a day. So that's the kind of business we are building, and at this point of time, if we can get that done, I think we'll be pretty good.
I don't know how many of our viewers would recall the very successful massive divestiture you did of the oil business, but you also run a similar operation, a smaller size one in the United Kingdom, the Stanlow refinery. You've been putting in place several initiatives there. How's that business doing?
Well, again, Siddharth, what we are really trying to do is build 4 or 5 ecosystems which are all towards energy transition, decarbonization, basically replacement of fossil fuel technology. So that's the broad overview with which we are looking at these investments. The industrial decarbonization investment we are doing in the UK is one of them. And our goal there is to have the world's first decarbonized refinery. There is no other refinery in the world which has this program, what we have been able to do. I must say with massive support from the UK government. And it's because of their net zero program that they have announced that it's possible for us to, to become a player as part of that whole net zero program. And we are doing the industrial decarbonization of the refinery by building hydrogen, very large hydrogen, blue hydrogen plants, replacing all the fuel which we have with hydrogen, and also doing industrial carbon capture.
Okay.
And so this is it's a fairly developed program now. It's on way. We will have all of this in place over the next in the next 4 years from now, 4 maybe 5 years from now.
Prashant, since you spoke about the UK government support, I wonder if you could draw a comparison between what the UK is doing when it comes to decarbonization versus where we stand from an Indian policy architecture.
Very different policy. So the UK and Europe have a much more, they've taken a much more aggressive view on decarbonizing and basically net zero. There is a huge tax which which every manufacturer pays in Europe for CO2. I mean, that to me is the key difference in decision between European policy and between Indian policy or Asian policy for that matter. So in the UK or in Europe, we pay now currently about $60 a ton of CO2 tax, and because companies are forced to pay that tax, they are much more aggressive in trying to decarbonize, because otherwise it's a huge burden on your balance sheet.
Yeah.
So and then the government itself is supporting all these investments. They have various programs, which basically what is a cost for difference program or a capital subsidy program. There are various programs under which they support investments being made by companies to decarbonize. And they have a goal of, quite an ambitious goal for 2030 to decarbonize industry. And so we are really pleased to be part of that program. India is going at it differently. We don't have a CO2 tax. But
Well, I hope nobody in government listens to that and gets an idea for a new tax, because
I'm just pointing out the differences.
I just hope the GST Council doesn't hear this part of the conversation.
No, so we don't have a CO2 tax, but we are doing it slightly differently. We are encouraging technology and low-cost solutions which are competitive to really thrive. And it's a very interesting way of doing it, but we have the ability of doing that because of low-cost renewable power, solar power. We are going to now introduce electric mobility. Again, all these are competitive projects. There is no subsidy involved from the government, and we are yet being able to compete against fossil-based technology. So, for example, today solar power is much cheaper than coal-based or gas-based power. I think electric vehicles very soon will also become very competitive without any subsidy, in the market. So that's the shift taking place. It's a very interesting way of doing it. I don't think Europe has that option because their cost of renewable power is much higher than what India has. So, interesting.
I remember it was at Davos itself a couple of years ago that almost like a coming out interview after for Essar and for you, after sort of being one of the few examples really of completely deleveraging your balance sheet and undertaking a lot of pain and sacrifice in some ways in that process. I wonder if you look back from then to now, in terms of the progress for Essar 2.0, how would you review what's happened and looking ahead?
Well, look, there's no doubt that the deleveraging program and the monetization program we did, it was a lot of years of hard work, which my father and my uncle and the whole Essar Group put in. But it was a decision which they took, and I think in hindsight, being able to delever the balance sheet and getting serious value for the assets which we built was in a way, it provided us the opportunity to be able to pivot the group into all these new, investments which we are able to do with a much lighter balance sheet. I think the other big shift is we are much more focused around, building equity value as a group, as an investment thesis. Earlier we obviously were focused on equity value, but it was also focused on trying to build market share and create
and using
large
debt
capacity and leveraging to the extent which was desired. But I think right now the focus is much more around new technologies which can be taken to the market much faster compared to before. Like you're building a steel plant, it's a 5-6 year investment cycle. You're building renewable power or any of these businesses, 2 years, investment cycle. So much faster investment cycle, get to the market faster, and hopefully we can create value. And at the same time, invest in new technologies which will be there for the next 20-25 years. So the deleveraging and the monetization has actually afforded us that opportunity to do, which we're very grateful for.
How would the Essar business portfolio look, let's say 5 to 10 years from now? What can you tell our viewers?
Well, I hope, as I said, the group we are looking at it as, from the holding company, which is Essar Global, we are looking at it as making equity investments in and building businesses in spaces which are futuristic, which in building ecosystems which will last for the next 20 years. It's also cutting edge using technology, to help build these businesses. So in the end, if you say 10 years from now, I hope we are able to build at least 4 or 5 ecosystems, companies which are building ecosystems which will address this large market, whether it is in the power space, whether it's in the energy space, whether it's in the in fossil fuel replacement phase, whether it's in green steel. All of these spaces are the sectors which we have always invested in for the last 20 years. It's not different, but it's with the newer technologies, and we think these technologies will last for 20-25 years. And we certainly hope that at the end of the day we can build value in these investments.
Since you spoke about the future and technologies, I want to pivot the conversation to one of the broader themes, which is the rise of AI, agents, and everything and that is impacting industry and consumers. Your own sense, because you also had a telecom business at one point of time, you've been early movers in that space also. What is this moment like when it comes to AI for India and businesses?
I think the impact of AI, I don't think we have really understood it. It's the capability of what AI can do, and the increase in efficiency and speed, at the same time reduce requirement for manpower is a very deadly combination. I don't know. A few days ago, we went and visited Elon Musk and went and saw the SpaceX launch, and then we had a
this was a group of Indian entrepreneurs, businessmen who went there.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was amazing to see the SpaceX launch. But we then had a conversation with Elon, and just the way people are thinking about AI, the speed of processing which computers are now doing. I think any company which does not have a very, very strong digitization, data science, digitization, transformation plan, I think is in trouble.
Okay,
it's a very because in 5 years' time, you're going to be left behind.
Did Elon talk about India? Anything that you can share with our viewers?
No,
he was supposed to come. That didn't happen last year. But
we didn't get into too much about India, but we certainly got into things like what's happening in some of these technologies. And
absolutely, and in his entire business portfolio and the Department of Government Efficiency, I think that's going to keep him busy for some time. Okay, I want to wind down the conversation with regard to the sense you're getting from all your counterparts globally with India, the China Plus One story right after COVID, the challenges to the Chinese economy, and the new opportunities that are coming up in the new Trump administration, the change in the trade order that we might see. What's your sense about India that you're picking up?
Look, India, let me just come first to India, and then we can talk about the other countries. But I think India, our growth has certainly slowed down a bit, and I think it's got to do to some extent with the level of private sector investment taking place, and there's a lot of investment coming from the government, which is all in fantastic projects, infrastructure, roads, airports, all of this stuff which we are all witnessing and enjoying, the new infrastructure coming up in all our cities, in all our country, in the whole country. But private sector investment to some extent has not kept pace with government expenditure, and I think that's one of the reasons why we are seeing a little bit of a slowdown in the economy. But the opportunity which we still have is still the same. The China Plus One opportunity is very serious. We can become a alternate supply chain, manufacturing base for the US, Europe, for the rest of the world. I think I don't know about Trump's tariffs. How he talks about tariff on a lot of people, including a lot of countries, including India. I really don't know how that's going to play out, but that opportunity is still a very, very massive opportunity. Opportunity for global capability centers is a massive opportunity. And if you think about AI being such a big thing in the future, then the opportunity for Indian people, Indian companies, Indian engineers to be a very big part of that whole investment cycle is another big, massive opportunity. So there's a lot of opportunity there, and obviously the fiscal situation in the country is very good. We are in a very strong fiscal situation vis-a-vis government and the tax collections and all of that. So I think we need to get on a little bit more. There's more opportunity out there. China's everybody is sort of going against, obviously pushing back against China, but the kind of technology revolution which is happening there, it is honestly, for people who have seen it, they know it, but for people who have not seen it, they are light years ahead of many all the countries put together in terms of certain technologies and renewable power, batteries, EV, all of these spaces. They are investing so heavily in R&D that I don't think it's going to be very easy to say we are not going to do it from China. They just have such a big, and the amount of capacity they've created is equal to the world's demand by 2. So with that kind of now you can say some of it is state sponsored, some it doesn't matter, but they have the technology, they have the capability, they have the capacity, and so I still feel that I don't know how it's going to play out in terms of taxes or imports, but they're going to still play a very major role.
Absolutely, and for the Indian context viewers, I think a bit of the thaw
Yes.
between India and China also seems to be something that's underway, and hopefully that should remove some of the irritants that we've been seeing on business. Of course, the terms of the bilateral trade not really in favor of India, but that will take some time to overcome and fix. As Prashant Ruia said, they've developed a very large base where for anyone to target it or catch up will take some doing. But Prashant Ruia, thank you very much for your time, for updating us on where Essar 2.0 stands with regard to its future business portfolio. With that, it's a wrap on this conversation from the Davos brainstorm here at the World Economic Forum. We'll continue our coverage. Do stay tuned in.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Business Today. I'm Siddharth Zarabi, and with me is the Chief Secretary of the Government of Uttar Pradesh, Manoj Kumar Singh. Manoj Kumar Singh, welcome to